You ever watch someone walk onto your dock like they own the whole damn world? Duffel bag in hand, sunglasses, perfect smile. Never guessing there's a Coast Guard chopper circling overhead and the FBI's waiting for the word? Yeah, that happened. Veronica Ashford, the terror of every island owner within 50 miles, came out here thinking she'd collect another fat envelope from another scared little fish. Her words, not mine. What she didn't know was she'd just stepped into her own finale. But before we hit the fireworks, let me back up a sec, because none of this would have happened if my divorce lawyer hadn't played her cards exactly wrong. 6 weeks before this circus, I was just Stellencross, a marine engineer building stabilizers for people who got seasick on their yachts, working myself into the ground, marriage crumbling, bills piling up, and no clue that my luck was about to turn sideways, sure, but still, a turn's a turn. My ex, Lauren, made off with every shiny thing. Miami penthouse, Porsche, the stocks, the cash, all of it. She laughed in my face when the judge handed me the worthless island my granddad bought for peanuts back in '52. What she never realized, because she never cared to see the place, was how Meridian Key had become 47 acres of pure Florida paradise. Deep water, a lighthouse, and structures you'd never find on county maps. Hell, the dock alone was nicer than most folks' houses. So there I was, still licking divorce wounds, just moved in, thinking maybe the universe had finally left me alone, when trouble floated up 60 feet of high-end yacht, white as fresh bleach. Veronica Ashford, HOA president of nowhere near my property, steps off like royalty. She's got muscle with her, 2 goons and some nervous techie, and right away she's on me about illegal activities, waving documents like flags. I'm wearing board shorts, last night's t-shirt, coffee in hand, thinking, is this for real? Nearest actual neighborhood is miles off, but she's got official-looking papers, a pen that clicks like a starter pistol, and a tone that tells you she's never once heard the word no and believed it. She accuses me of contaminating her protected marine sanctuary by, get this, swimming in my own lagoon. Fine is 1,000, penalties accrue daily, and you must submit to a full audit. If you've ever tangled with an HOA, you know the drill, but Veronica brought an edge, like a shark in lipstick. Her guys start snapping photos, muttering into radios, doing everything but drawing chalk outlines. I tell her straight, this is private property, lady. No HOA here. She smiles, cold as January, and tells me my grandfather signed a charter back in the '70s, roping my land into their fiefdom. Suddenly, I'm not just some unlucky divorcee. I'm the mark in her latest scheme, but the real story was hiding under my boathouse. On day 3, I'd stumbled on a concrete bunker, real Cold War stuff, built for long stays, thick walls, heavy air. And what was down there? Stacks of old cash, federal documents stamped and sealed, and a shipping manifest for gold bars lost in a hurricane back in '87. 50 million, gone without a trace. Except, maybe not so gone. That's when it clicked. Veronica didn't care about fines or environmental compliance. She was looking for the real prize. I called Dmitri, my Russian lawyer, maritime law wizard, knows every dirty trick. Veronica isn't an HOA president, he said. She's a thief-in-law. She's taken 5 islands already. You're next. Now, let me tell you about Captain Reeves. Decorated Coast Guard vet, lost everything when Veronica turned his rescue dog sanctuary into a war zone. First, she fined him for disturbing wildlife. Then someone poisoned his dogs, 7 dead in one night. No charges ever stuck, but the man was broken, living on a busted houseboat. When I found him, he warned me, she'll destroy you, son. She owns judges, cops, everybody. She'll find your weakness. He told me about Veronica's dead husband, a federal agent, supposedly died of a heart attack right before he cracked the case on the missing gold. See, every island she seized, she searched, drilling, surveying, acting like she was a protector of wildlife while chasing government secrets. But there was a crack in her armor. E.A. Morrison, the HOA's treasurer, single mom, didn't sign up for any of this, just needed insurance for her sick kid. She'd been keeping real books, tracking every dirty dollar, but was too scared to go public. When Veronica escalated, taped off my dock, sabotaged my water and power, sent men to circle my island in boats, I realized I could wait to be another of her victims, or I could flip the script. I went on offense. I met with EA, convinced her to hand over the thumb drive. She had everything: bribes, fake fines, forged documents, the hurricane fund she'd embezzled, the LOT.SO. I baited Veronica, called her, sounded beaten, begged to settle, offered her $50,000 cash if she'd make all the trouble disappear. She fell for it, told me to bring the cash at sunset, alone. I called the FBI. Special Agent Wolf, been watching Veronica for years, set the sting. Next day, the island was swarming. Coast Guard in the air, feds in the mangroves, divers in the water, all waiting for the queen to show up for her crown. But nothing's ever that simple. She launched her own raid early, showed up at dawn with a small army, tearing apart my dock, barking orders. Bruno the ex-cop waving a pistol, looking for treasure. I hid in the bunker, called Wolf on the satellite phone, and waited. Sure enough, Veronica found the hatch, came down with her men, and the show started. She demanded the gold. I showed her the manifest, then pulled out the kicker. Paperwork showing the gold never actually went missing. It was a cover operation, moved to Puerto Rico to fund anti-drug ops. My granddad wasn't a criminal, he was a decoy. Her face went purpled. That's when the choppers thundered in, loudspeakers blaring, feds pouring in through every door. Veronica's muscle dropped their weapons. She clutched the cash, muttering about gold, looking like a child with a broken toy. Wolf cuffed her personally, read the list of charges: fraud, embezzlement, racketeering, the works. The empire was over. EA's evidence exposed everything. Families got their islands back, and the news went wild for a minute. Divorced engineer takes down criminal HOA. My old lawyer called it the greatest asset split in Miami history, but it didn't end there. Veronica's sister tried to reach out through a Cayman Islands lawyer, claimed she had secrets about my granddad's role. I ignored it, but kept digging. Up in the lighthouse, I found the real treasure: maps. Not of gold, but of secret shipping routes, drug runners, smugglers, federal operations, all hidden in plain sight. I turned them over to Wolf, and in months, trafficking rings that had lasted decades started to fall. The Ashford sisters went to prison for life. Captain Reeves reopened his sanctuary, thanks to a mystery donor. EA and her kids started over. Me? I was handed a $2 million finder's fee and a community that had been saved from predators because I'd refused to pay a $1,000 swimming fine. So here's my question for you. If you found yourself sitting on secrets worth more than gold, truths that could free your neighbors or tempt your worst enemies, what would you do? Keep it quiet, or risk everything to set things right? Drop your answer below and tell me, when does justice cross the line into revenge? And does it matter if the bad guys finally lose? That's my story. Thanks for sticking around to hear it. Share your thoughts, your HOA nightmares, or just tell me if you think I did the right thing. Because out here, where the water meets the sky, justice comes with a lot more salt than sugar, and the next chapter's always waiting just over the horizon.